nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Haley, can I get you to do the Scout Oath and Law, please? Or the Scout Oath and Hayden the Scout Law. I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Worthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Thank you, everyone. And if the audience would please be seated, and Mariah, if I can have you come up. I'm going to switch the magic AirPod. Sorry.
Okay. Tonight, we are honored to recognize the hard work and dedication of some of our own in a true Scout way. Wood Badge represents leadership, service, and commitment to the core values of Scouting. We have Miss Holly Reese here tonight to bead some of the participants from Wood Badge 2024. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, you guys.
Is that turned over to me now? It is.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me at your roundtable and giving me the opportunity to recognize 3 of your roundtable members for the accomplishments that they achieved. It looks like from looking around at people's neckerchiefs, most of you here are familiar with Wood Badge. But for those of you who are not, Wood Badge is a leadership training course. Baden Powell, when he started Scouting, he recognized the importance of training the adult leaders. In 1911, he started a series of lectures, and then by 1919, he had created Wood Badge. And Wood Badge is offered, I learned this reading through some stuff, in over 100 countries. It may be a little bit different in every country. In our country, we have Wood Badges in 2 phases. We have our training phase where we're at camp, we're in the classroom, and we're outdoors learning. And then while we're at camp, we challenge all of the participants to come up with a project, and they take that project, the things that they learned, and take that out into their home units and put that into practice. And once they finish it, we have a special award for them. So if I could have Sherry, Brian, and William come up so we can recognize you for completing your projects. All right. And I think we have some troop guides and some family members who are going to help us with this presentation. Why don't you guys come over this way? Okay, are we having a young gentleman, Leah? Are you going to come up and help me out here? All right. So they're all going to get some new neckerchiefs, which we're going to talk about. So why don't we have our helpers take off their current neckerchiefs? And helpers, as we talk about each of the things, you will grab it off the table and then place it on the participants. So the first thing that many of you will notice in Wood Badge is the neckerchief. There's 3 different parts or 3 different colors that you will notice on the neckerchief. Baden Powell, during his service in the military, spent some time in Africa. The 2 different colors that you'll notice on the neckerchief are something that represents the sands of Africa and the sunsets in Africa. You'll also notice a small little piece of tartan, and that tartan is to recognize one of the first commissioners that donated Gilwell Field for the Scouts to have a training facility. So we recognize that donation by wearing the McLaren tartan on our neckerchiefs. Okay, did we place neckerchiefs on everybody yet? Okay, let's get that placed.
Which way do I go?
Oh, this is for her.
All right, got some neckerchiefs there. Let's talk a little bit about the law. You'll recognize wood badgers by this leather woggle that they wear. And they also have the opportunity to tie their own woggle at wood badge, which if some of you who've been through wood badge know that's a little bit of challenge. It's tied correctly, it will look as if there's no beginning, no end to the woggle. Which is similar to our commitment in scouting. The without end part is what I'd like to focus on. Going and getting training, being involved in these youth lives, that experience can have a lasting and keep going thing. So I like that without end, the effect that we can have. So go ahead and put that woggle on that neckerchief. All right, and the last piece of the wood badge is a leather bootlace or leather string toe with 2 beads on it. While being Powell was in Africa, he acquired this set of wooden beads, and when he was first trying to think of something to recognize the participants with, in the beginning, he would give them one and they'd have to carve the other one. And it wasn't until later on that it became something that we wore around the neck. The badge used to be kind of placed where a badge would be placed. So go ahead and place those. While they're placing those, when you initially finish, you'll see people with 2 beads, 3 beads, 4 beads. 2 beaters means they have completed their ticket. And 3 beaters, if you ever see someone with 3 beads, that means they've staffed. And if you see someone with 4 beads, that means they were the course director for wood badge or AILT. So for our young scouters here, if we get the chance to want to do the training part to wood badge, it's program called National Leadership Training. And then you'll learn some of the same language that your leaders will know. All right, and we get all the 2 leaders on there. All right, and we have some certificates. So a lot of people consider wood badge the pinnacle of scout training. But I consider it something a little bit different. Once you completed wood badge, it's a commitment to lifelong learning. All of these participants, I felt that they came to wood badge because they wanted to learn, grow, and they have that commitment to scouting that they want to share with others. So I want everybody to go ahead and congratulate our newest wood badge graduates for their completion. Thank you.
Fine. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right. That's it. I'll let you guys back to your round table. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. If anybody else who hasn't been to wood badge is interested in attending, we have a special opportunity this year. We have a territory course that we are putting on here at Camp Pendleton. It's going to be a week long. It's in August this year. So it's going to bring people from all over the area. And the sign up is already on. So thank you again for having me at your round table. It was great to be here with you all.
Holly, thank you so much. Thank you, Buford. I want to cry.
Speaker, they can barely hear Holly.
Okay. Okay, everyone, we're gonna let everyone get back to their positions, and let me just switch back to the screen. Thank you all so much. Holly, Buford, Justin, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for making the drive all the way from the Rainier District. And I can say this with all honesty, I understand it is a long drive. Thank you all so much. To William and Brian, congratulations. Thank you. I'm not going to congratulate myself. That just seems weird to me.
Congratulations, Sherry.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Darren. Okay, so now we're going to move in. We're going to switch gears back to Roundtable magically. So we're going to make sure the hat's on right. Today's combined safety and membership moment. As fall season progresses, It's really important to prepare for unpredictable weather. We just did Covery under an atmospheric river, and some of us were at IOLS staffing it or as participants, and there was some unpredictable weather in the form of an atmospheric river. So be sure to include proper layering for warmth and keeping an eye on weather forecasts to stay safe outdoors. And Jeff is going to be talking about that very shortly. And additionally, I'm going to encourage every units to capitalize on autumn recruiting, which autumn is my favorite time of the year. And so I'd like you all to try and leverage some local events and social media to bring in some new families. This is a wonderful opportunity for scouts and scouters, and the community at large. So one thing that I would like to say is that each time I do a recruiting event or I'm out in the community, I feel really connected because I'm actually going through and I'm talking to the community. I'm making sure that we're kind of keeping the path moving forward and lit for new scouts. So please do that. I've actually met some of my best friends through recruiting events. Okay, changing topics. We're gonna do combined National and Pacific Harbors Council news. So from the national level, we have the David Montgomery, and he was the David, that was wrong. David Montgomery named the recruitment ambassador. He's an NFL star, and he's been named Scouting America's new national recruitment ambassador. Also, the STEM partnership with Blue Origin is happening. So it's called Club for the Future, and it inspires youth in STEM fields. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I tend to like the sciencey things. And additionally, both National Council and Pacific Harbors Council are encouraging scouters to support ongoing Eagle projects by visiting council and district Facebook pages. The scouts that are working on their Eagles, they are working hard. I just finished my Wood Badge ticket, and I know if I wouldn't have had the support of my community, it would have been very, very hard. So let's support our young future Eagles and our future Wood Badge graduates. And on a personal note, as someone who works in council and district, both districts and council are actively looking for volunteers who exemplify servant leadership to support scouts. And so this can take the role or look like very many different ways. So if you know somebody who might volunteer and might participate, I encourage you to talk to them and have a chat with them and see if they're interested. And you never know if you don't ask. And now, without further ado, we've all been waiting for this moment. Can I get a round of applause for the great and wonderful Mr. Jeff Kasnick, who happens to be a friend and mentor of mine. And he is going to be leading the discussion on camping. Yay! And I'm going to mute mine. And Jeff and I are going to switch roles.
Okay.
He's not coming over on voice.
Just unhook that
Oh, there you
and
go. There you are.
you can hear me now. All right.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I was trying to read your lips, but I'm not taking.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Let me just share my screen. Pull up my PowerPoint. All right. So everybody can see my screen, correct? Okay.
Camping Committee Roundtable.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, guys.
All right, let me just put this into SlideShare or slideshow mode real quick. No, that didn't work. Okay. There we go. So, camping committee roundtable. So, for those of you that don't know, my name's Jeff Kasnick, and I just happen to be both a Scoutmaster of Troop 9268 out in Yelm, and I am also the Olympic District Camping Committee Chair. So, this is a new committee we stood up about, well, in May, and I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of what we're planning to do to one, support the district as well as other things that we are doing to kind of support camping. Because what is our main role? Our main role is to support unit program when it comes to camping initiatives throughout the district. So a few things that we are doing. Well, there we go. So few objectives that we're going to talk about tonight a little bit, and I want this to be as interactive as possible, so I will have a few questions that will go out to the group. But we will talk about a new award that the committee is putting together, and that's the Olympic District Camping Award. And this is to be used as a tool for you guys as you're planning your unit program. These kind of explain and show what the expectations are from the district of what a good camping program might look like, as well as maybe a couple other ideas. And we want to showcase this award at the Olympic District Awards Banquet. And we have a lot of plans that are coming through regarding this to help make that banquet a little bit more youth-centric, as we're all here to serve our youth. We're also going to talk about older youth camping program a little bit, review a little bit of annual planning, and maybe see what you guys do in terms of annual planning when it comes to camping program. Touch briefly on the Cub camping aspect. We want to talk a little bit about the Olympic District camping events that we have coming up or have just completed on one case, and then I want to get some information from you guys on what barriers we might have out there to camping, so that we can better serve our community as a committee. So, talking about the Olympic District Camping Award. So there's going to be 3 sections when it comes to the Olympic District Camping Award. One of them is going to be focused on leave no trace and outdoor ethics. One of them is focused on the actual activities that you're completing via camping. So here are some of the activities that I have listed in section A, and you get to put a check mark over any of them that you've completed. If you complete at least 6 or 7 of these items, you qualify for the bronze level for the award. If you complete 9 of them, you qualify for the silver level of the award, and if you complete 12 of them, then you qualify for the gold level of the award. The idea is it would be a unit-based award that will come with a streamer that you can put on your flag, and we're also offering a patch that you can get for your scouts. That would be a patch that you guys have to purchase, but it would be one of those hang patches that you can put on over your pocket flap. And they would have gold, silver, and bronze embroidery around them. But some of the ones on there are like, do you have at least 6 campouts a year at 3 different locations? Do you have at least 11 campouts a year at 6 different locations? Do you attend the Olympic District camping events that we offer, such as Cubbery, the Klondike, Night Hike, Spring Camporee, which is one that we're going to be starting this year. So we'll have those different offerings, and if you attend each one, you get a check mark for each one. And then we also want to encourage people to camp in different locations or different national forests, and also do things like if you go and do a trip afloat, or if you go and do a bike ride while you're on a camp out. All those things we want to encompass in this award and just show that we're having a dynamic outdoor program. When it comes to the leave no trace aspects, that's section B. So some of the things that I put on there is conduct a leave no trace training within your unit within the last year. While on a camp out, have a 5 to 15 minute like in service with a ranger on a for the forest or conservation area. And then while on a camp out, conduct a conservation project of some sort. And then for section C, these are things that are a must, things that I want to see happen. One of those things is going to be creating a slideshow with pictures from your unit conducting their outdoor camping events, because we want to share that stuff with other units and share the cool ideas that different units might have and showcase that stuff when we go to the Olympic District Awards dinner. And then another thing that I want each unit to do for this award would also be creating an SSC or after action report on lessons learned that you had when you've conducted these programs. So then we can share those with other units, so then they can learn from your experiences and see how they might be able to do a camp out that was somewhat similar, so we can grow camping as a community within the Olympic District. Is there any feedback or questions that you guys have on the format of this award? We are going to make a Cub Scout version.
Definitely not something Cub Scouts can do.
No,
Yeah.
we are planning on making a Cub Scout version, so thank you for the question. That is on my to-do list. I just haven't made one yet.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? Anything in the chat, Sherry?
No, just address.
Cool.
Where can we get this list?
We're still finalizing everything, but this is, right now I wanted to share what our template is, and my hope is to have it launched by the end of this year, so then we can get a final version and we can get it sent out to unit leaders. It would work similarly in my mind as to how you used to do your JTE requirement cards and all those kinds of things. Okay. Older youth program. So I wanted to talk just briefly about older youth program because it's something that I've seen and as talking with different units, something that I've seen as an issue or something that ends up becoming a problem sometimes is we don't typically always do a great job with transition from younger youth program to older youth program to keep our scouts engaged. And one way we can do that is through changing our camping and outdoor activities that we offer. So one way that we can do that is by getting scouts engaged in the OA, because they have their ability to do OA high adventure. They have their ability to do other camping events and have brotherhood with scouts of older ages and abilities. Another way to do that is through our Venture Crews and Sea Scouts. Those programs are 14 to 21 years of age, and they do, sometimes backpacking programs. They do things like 50-mile canoeing trips. They'll go and do trips afloat, a whole bunch of different fun stuff to keep our scouts that are 14 to 21 years of age. But I've seen a lot where, in Troops BSA, sometimes we get pigeonholed with whether it's because of youth lead or adult leadership that we have available to us, or comfortability with the units and the leadership that's available. Sometimes we don't do a very good job with expanding our program, and we focus on the lowest common denominator of, our trail to first class type scouts, especially in some of our smaller units. And so one of the things we wanted to talk about is the importance of including a few more high adventure activities or things that are more like backpacking trips that our older youth would be more engaged with, so we keep them engaged in our program. a lot of the time they can get burnt out if they keep on being asked to teach things and provide leadership, but not have program that is dedicated and focused on their development. Because if all we're doing is offering car camping locations and things of that nature, they kind of get tired of that and they stop showing up, and then they phase out, and then you start hearing things like Eagle Out, right? Where we want to keep them engaged, keep it a program that's exciting for them. And one way we can do that is changing our program offerings to include things like backpacking trips, to include things like trips afloat, canoeing trips, and other things of that nature. So one of the things that my committee is dedicated to doing is providing some one-stop shop or maybe some guidance on how to plan such events, to assist with those things, as well as share lessons learned from other units that have completed these types of events, to assist other units in doing these types of work. Another thing that we are also talking about doing is putting together potential district high adventure contingents or provisional units where scouts from around the district could come together and create one high adventure unit to go to, say, Sea Base or Northern Tier or Summit or Philmont. And so we're in the process of talking about how we may do things like that. But my question that I have to the group, do you think that there would be interest if we were to plan something like that for some of our older youth throughout the district? Do you think there might be interest? We want to focus our efforts wisely.
I definitely think there is interest.
Yes.
In some of the older guys, especially the ones that are getting to the age of 18.
Yes.
That want to continue on with the program, but they just can't.
Yep.
So I can definitely see it there.
Yep.
It is good.
Yeah. And
The problem is cost.
cost would be would be an issue, but it would be something that, again, just like National Jamboree, when a contingent is made for National Jamboree, you meet for a year and a half planning for that National Jamboree.
Yeah.
And
I'm not talking about the monetary costs, the resources. We have scouts that are older.
Yep.
Especially at 18, they are working.
yes.
They need to work. They need to have the time off to do
Mhm.
these things, or they lose their jobs.
Yep.
That is a reality that we need to take into consideration when we plan these things. Not every 18-year-old kid is going to be able to go.
Yep.
It's not a matter of just affording it, because we can all, do something to where they can afford it. It's a matter of, the other resources, the other costs that come with it, time off. Are they going to have a job when they have that? Things like that.
Yep.
So, yes, I think we need a program. We just need to, the reality is that not too many kids are going to be able to.
Yep.
But older scouts can also mean over 14.
Over
so,
14. Yes.
Yes.
So it's not just the 18-year-olds and those, younger people that might have that kind of job. So I think it's a great idea, and it seems more feasible for some of those high adventure things, and it might get some, especially those scouts in kind of like that, Star Eagle,
Yes.
area, that are older. It's getting really excited. And especially if you're going with a group, that might help them both with funds and with motivation and, that kind of like safety of like, oh, I'm going with the group.
Well, part of the reason that we're talking about this as well is the fact that, a lot of our units average between 8 and 15 to 20 scouts, and to qualify as a contingent, you need to have at least 20 members that go. And so there's going to be a lot of areas, a lot of our smaller units can't support that on their own. And so then the options turn into going as OA high adventure, or trying to tack on to another group that's already planning on going. And so one way that we can help some of our smaller units within the Olympic district is planning provisional council contingents. Yeah,
Troy mentioned, yes, we were having a parade at CISPUS and have the challenge course, and you even make it a competition.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
This bus down in Rand.
that's awesome. So it's something else that we can add to it, huh?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can tell you that my boys love Klondike because it's a competition. And
yes,
my older boys love, well, they've won the sled the last 2 years because that's actually something they can compete heads up against everybody else. And so, while not everything needs to be a competition, I do think that for high adventure, it has to have that thrill. And maybe it's got a competition in the sense of like who's got the best time to make it the 10-mile hike to the camping site or whatever. Not dangerous, but something that makes the boys want to push it up a little bit. Because
Yeah.
I have a bunch of boys that would do that, but I don't have any other parents that'll go in the back country with me that I would trust. And
Yeah.
I've done a ton of time in the back country, but it's just me and I can't go by myself. So I think if you had those groups of 20 where you had a couple adults that know what they're doing, especially at certain things, I think you can
Yep.
easily get that.
I really appreciate that feedback, because that was another thing that we were trying to look at how we can do that with YPT and some of the council rules. So once we figure out how we can do that locally, following all the rules, I will let you know.
Yeah, man, I'm down to take 20 kids out in the middle of nowhere. It's just I need another adult to do it.
Yeah, of course. So next would be annual planning. So I wanted to talk just briefly on this, because we all have our different ways that we conduct annual planning within our units, but I think that it's also important that scouts have a say in our unit program. So one of the ways that I do it with my unit, and I just want to put this out there for everybody else, if it's food for thought, is you can use this Olympic District Camping Award that I just put out there as a guide. And that can be something you say, all right, well, we're going to do one camp out or maybe we'll do 2 camp outs in a national park or something like that. Or maybe we're going to do a couple of these Olympic District camping events, or maybe we need to plan something that's a leave no trace or whatever. So you can use that as a guide to kind of help you a little bit to put guidelines on your scouts when they're planning their events. Another thing that would be helpful to have, if your unit doesn't have one, is an outdoor chair on the unit committee. And if you guys don't have, one thing I use my outdoor chair for is to help compile a list of 20 to plus locations that are possibilities within our area, within like a 2 to, at least a 2-hour drive, maybe 3-hour drive. I give them the boys guidelines or the scouts guidelines as to, each quarter you can do one camping event that's longer than 2 hours away from our base area, just to regulate expectations. Each quarter, I want you guys to plan a backpacking trip. Each quarter, I want you guys to plan something that is relatively low cost. So then they're able to plan out some things based off of guidelines. And then I allow them to then pick their locations out of this list of 20 to 30 different areas that they can potentially go camping. And then they can kind of plan their program in that way. So that's just a suggestion of something you guys can do, but it helps keep some variation out there. So then people aren't always camping in the same locations, and those kinds of things. You can also, it's also important to plan, your summer camp or a long-term camping experience. That's another thing that we're really dedicated and encouraging, is making sure each unit has something like that, whether it's going to be a 50-mile backpacking trip for more experienced scouts, or it's going to be a 5 days at summer camp, 7 days at summer camp type deal. And then the last thing is a question for everybody, and if those online, if you can enter it into the chat. How many campouts does your unit typically go on in a month? and we're just trying to collect some information, so I figured.
You must be talking about troops.
Yeah, I am talking about troops, but even packs, that's a good thing to have. How many do you guys normally go a year?
I was gonna say a year because you.
Yeah, no,
you only have so many.
I know, a year, how many do you guys go on?
Well, we missed our family, I mean, we've been around a whole year, so, we missed our family camp out last year, but we had 80% of our scouts go to resident camp,
Awesome,
so. And
that's,
then we
that's
had
good.
2 scouts go to Covery.
All right. Oh,
Jeff, we are going camping this weekend,
that's awesome.
so we try to do it once a month.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're going.
awesome, cool.
And I think-
I would guess.
Yeah. Just a second. You can ask it if you want, if it's a group question.
It's, Ada wanted to know if we have a contingent for National Jamboree 2028 at Summit.
So it's not gonna be 2028, it's gonna be 2026 is gonna be the next National Jamboree. And an interest survey I know was put out by Darren a couple, I think it was September. That Darren put out an interest survey for it. I have not heard anything since then yet, but yes, 2026. We're gonna be, I know the planning process is gonna be starting soon.
That's correct.
All right. I'm tracking. I'm proud of myself.
I do have a question
Yes.
about your camping award.
Yes.
Cause you talked about like, what if they do something that's like similar, but like instead of going to any of the national parks around here, while they're going to camp out of state, they stop by some national parks on the way there and camp.
I mean,
You know?
that's a cool thing to do and everything. I guess what I was trying to do is use our natural resources within Olympic District for it, but again, that still counts as a camp out at another place, and we can always, like, that's something that we can, you know,
I was
always
just
talk
wondering
about.
if there were. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, did those things count? Like,
Yeah.
it just.
I mean, it still counts as a camp out.
Yeah.
The reason again, we were trying to use our local resources that were within the footprint that we stay in, but yes. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have our scouts participate as staff
Yeah,
at major events. like-
that will count.
There we go. So Covery, Campery, NYLT.
Yes, that will count.
All right.
Yeah, so for Covery, for instance, for Scouts BSA, it's a Covery event, but if they come as staff, that would count as the unit participating in that event.
Okay.
Yep. How often, so the next one would be Cub camping. So how often does your Scouts pack camp, which you've already answered that question, right? How often does your pack camp? You said you did one in the last year.
Sorry, I see 2 to 4 times a year. Last year, when I went to University of Scouting.
Yep.
The rule was you get 1 family camp out a year. So I'm wondering how you work in 2 to 4 times.
Well, and that's a good goal.
Has the rule changed?
No, this is not a rule. This was something that we were talking about as a committee.
Okay,
So this was just something we were talking about.
so I'm just wondering
Yeah.
why the goal is more than what you're kind of like allowed. That seems like not a great goal.
Yeah, isn't it national as well?
Is it one?
Yeah,
Not something that I saw. Oh, okay.
unless they change it, they like have been switching back and forth from between like 1 to 2.
Yes.
Family campouts that your unit can host. So I mean, obviously, there are other things you can go to
Yep.
at the district level, but those are pretty few and far between
Yep.
for Cubs.
Yep.
So I think your goal is.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting me. But anyway, I guess what I was putting out there was the rules for basically Cub camping. That was my goal. Is that you have to have a blue train leader and you have to have enough adults. But I apologize if I am not well versed in that role, because I have not been a Cub Scouting person for over 10 years.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, the question was, how many times are Cub Scouts allowed to camp as a year as a unit-driven, family camp?
I think there's a rule about how many, I don't think there's a maximum number of times.
There is.
Not in, well,
I mean, there was.
I don't believe there is.
University of Scouting, that happened just last fall, there was, and the number was 1.
That is certainly not the case. So
Okay.
I will posit that.
I can clarify.
Sandy-
Go ahead and clarify, Darren.
Yeah, Darren.
Can everybody in the room hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I think what you're referring to is they had come out a year ago and said that they could only camp for one night. That has since been changed and they can camp for 2, but that's just on a weekend. They can camp as many weekends as they want. So if a pack has a monthly family camp out, they can do that. They just that ruling that came out was just they can only do it one night, and they got a lot of pushback, so now it's 2 nights
I also.
for one event. But they can have as many events as they want.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Less confused now.
We're just gonna posit that there may have been just a misunderstanding and
Yeah.
just some confusion, so.
Yep.
I fully recognize.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not saying you misunderstood, I'm saying, it could have been a misunderstanding all around.
Yeah, of course.
These things happen. Because we're all human, right?
Yeah, and that's the point why we're talking about it here at Roundtable, right?
Because with our combined knowledge, hopefully we can piece everything.
Exactly.
Jeff, I
yeah.
have, 2 questions.
Yes.
First one is from chat, from Troy, and he says, he never does, they never do pet camping. He's the only adult willing to carry what I need to a campsite down a trailhead. So how do we, gain some support or get adult volunteers kind of more engaged at the pack level so we can do these camping things?
So, I mean, one way to do it is gonna be with getting people, I think, excited through training. So if you can get them to show up to things like Baloo or other things like that, that is one way to help get people, huh?
With that.
Wood badge, that's another one. And Roundtable, yes. Yep. I know all of our trainings is a good way to kind of encourage participation. Another way to do it would honestly be that, you're setting a goal that this is what we're going to do and just start saying, well, we need participation if we're going to make this goal happen. And it's kind of the process of embracing change, right? And we need to set some goals, have some conversations, and really make it, maybe our goal this year is to have one family camp out. And that's super awesome, where you're going to get out there and do something. And maybe you start it with something where families can bring their RVs or something like that, but be flexible with it and walk it out. The key is that we get it to a spot where they're able to get that experience, get out and go camping. And that's why we have things like resident camp as well that's offered here at Thunderbird over the summer. So these scouts can have that experience, but we want to encourage people to camp whenever they can. Another piece that's one of the rules when it comes to cub camping is you're supposed to go cub camping in a place that's approved by council and has had a site approval by a site assessor. We're in the process of making a process to have that done on a regular basis. So then we can have a repository of those camping locations. And we will also create a process on how you could request a site to be approved for cub camping as well. That's something that I am currently in the works of working on, but I just wanted to let you know that that is coming through. Right now, I'm just excited if units are out camping.
Jeff, if I can add,
Yes,
the council we have a draft webpage up to do all of that stuff you're talking about for the request. And we're gonna have a repository for those forms, and then how to do the multi-unit camping for troops. There is a site, I'll send you the link because I think it's still in draft form. That was something we were going to discuss at the district operations summit.
perfect. Thank you, Darren. All right, so Olympic District camping events. So we just finished our first annual Cubbaree last weekend. So let's give a round of applause. That was led by Tyler Fine and our fearless leaders, the Sherry and Brian O'Gorman, who were super great and graceful at putting that event on, and it ended up being a success. So that was our first event that was one of our Olympic District events. And of course, we couldn't have done it without Mark Daniel and William Norris as well. They were instrumental in helping us out with getting everything put together and the project running. Then we also, next up, we have the night hike that will be occurring in November. So put that on your calendars, guys. Hopefully everybody signed up. We have a lot of events that will be going on, and we're still looking for some volunteers. So adult leaders, if you have more than 2 adults that are going, that need to be with your units with hiking, if you have some availability to have some adults be station masters, you can always give myself or John Spiedelberg a email, and we'd be more than happy to have you guys join us as staff running the different stations. Then we have the Olympic District Klondike that will be happening in January, that you guys all know about at the end of the month in January. And that will be happening here at Thunderbird. And then we will also be having the Olympic District Spring Camporee. So that's going to be a new event that's going to be led by myself. That's going to happen spring April 11th through the 13th. That is going to be put on the council website, and a save the date and registration should be open within the next month. So keep an eye out for that one. It will be a great event. We're planning on having things such as merit badge midway. We're going to have low cope, right, Sherry?
Yes.
We're going to have a cope setup going on. We will also be having a disability awareness area going on, a Trail to First Class area, as well as campfire program, a whole bunch of fun. And we're planning an older youth experience as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on for our spring camporee. It should be a great time. That's going to be April 11th through April 13th. And then my last question that I have to the group are, what kind of barriers do you have about surrounding camping? So that's
Misinformation.
Yeah, misinformation. That's one. Okay. And I'm asking whether it's socioeconomic factors, not having equipment for your youth, leadership, adult leadership issues, whatever it might be. We just want to create a repository of what kind of things end up being a problem, so then we can talk about it in our committee and see if we can create some solutions to help support the.
Troy says parents' participation.
Okay. Anybody else in the room?
The parent participation, we started out kind of with that kind of situation. Now we're moving forward.
Yep. Parent participation. Any other barriers you guys come across?
Well, one of the biggest ones is you can only do your camp to your lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a first year or a first time out, you know, you get kind of a barrier on what you can do and how you can do it. You know, you get a kid's freshman scouts and they're gonna send them 10 miles into the woods.
Exactly. That goes back into what I was saying earlier, right? Yep.
For the younger scouts, it's usually like weather.
Mm-hmm.
They get kind of frustrated easily with the Pacific Northwest.
Yep,
I think everything you mentioned is, from socioeconomic factors, equipment issues.
Yep.
Though those are kind of tied to me.
yep,
If you can't afford to, like we have a family that is wants to stay at home, the other works, but they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of families can't, both parents are working, so it's kind of hard to have a parent say, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna take this weekend, I'm gonna go with my kid to Scouts.
mhm,
I mean, we're kind of the lucky ones. We have the ability to do what we want to do when we want to do it, but not everyone has that same luxury. Or freedom, I should say.
mhm.
So yes, pretty much everything you mentioned.
Okay,
I find scheduling an issue. I mean, we only have 10 cubs and it's still hard to find a weekend, but like 80% of them make something.
and I think the only thing that I've seen that works for that is having that annual calendar that's planned a year in advance, and you just say, you know what? I do it to my scouts all the time. We camp every single third weekend of the month, every single month. You guys, it's very predictable.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep,
I think another thing we could probably do to make it easier for parents, and us as leaders, is integrate the district and council calendars, their operations into our troop calendars. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, yeah, we go to the night hike every year, so that's going to be what we're doing this November, because we do it every November. But what about summer camp? What about, Cavalry? We might send scouts to Cavalry to cover for staff positions, We need to do more integration.
Yep.
Integration.
no, I think that that's a great idea, and that will be happening at the district summit that will be happening soon between the different district committees.
One of the goals of that.
Yep, is to,
meeting Is specifically to put out a council calendar for the next 12 months.
yes. And then for wrap up, I guess my last question that I have for the group is, what questions do you have regarding camping, and how can our Olympic District camping committee support you? Because that's our big goal, is to support unit camping and unit program. So if there's any other suggestions that people have, you can pop them in the chat. I'd be more than willing to go through them, review them, and we can sit there and make a little bit of a strategic plan. So again, I thank you guys all for, bearing with me over the last 45 minutes as I talked about what we're doing as a district committee to help support unit camping and Olympic District, all the cool things that we have going on. And then also, if you guys have any questions when it comes to outdoor camping gear, all of those kinds of things, hit me up. I'm more than happy to share my knowledge and what we do. That's what we are here for as a roundtable, so we can share our knowledge and kind of solve problems, right?
Yes.
That's right. So thank you guys.
I just want to remind everyone, as we move through this season and we're wrapping up rather quickly, I'm gonna bring John up here in just a second to close us out. That scouting thrives on communication, teamwork, and community. So let's continue fostering an environment where every scout and scouter feels heard, supported, and empowered. Together, we're stronger. And now, John,
Oh, am I supposed to do something?
do you want to, you want to mention in a minute?
Does it have to be a minute?
We've got 4 minutes.
Be nice.
Well, but I do need you, so don't go too. I have something.
Not going too far.
Where did it go?
It's-
Oh, here it is. All right, so As many of you have noticed, for the last couple months, Sherry has been taking more and an increasingly, shall we say, senior role in the roundtable team here. So, to recognize Sherry's increasing role of responsibility on the commission team, I would like to present Sherry with a assistant district commissioner. Because Sherry will be our new assistant district commissioner for roundtable.
Thank you, Bob. I'm gonna cry. I need to not.
All right, so now that I've done that bit, so we're running a stopwatch. Oh goodness. Wow, that's awesome. So, what I wanted to talk about tonight, I wanted to kind of touch on something I did a whole thing about last month. You guys may remember. A little while ago, but we were talking about recharge, right? Because we are now, on my map, coming into recharter season now. So I'm going to strongly encourage all of the units out there to start reviewing your rosters now, so that you can make sure that whenever you can hit that submit button, so that we can all recharter on time. And if you guys have not done it yet, I strongly encourage you to talk to your families about how you're going to process the unit, the individual membership fees. Because as we touched on last month, those are separate from the unit renewal fees. Right? And rather than take up all the whole time, I do have a 45-minute more presentation about this. Last month, and I will share that video as well. When I post this online later, last one. Or you guys can go to the Pacific Harvest Council YouTube page, YouTube.
I encourage everyone to visit YouTube.
YouTube. Last time I checked the video, I believe it had a whopping 6 views on it.
We need more views.
Wait, where are they?
What's that?
All of them were you, weren't they?
No.
No.
We'll just put it on autoplay.
For the record, I would prefer watch my own presentation. I personally cannot stand the sound of my own voice. So.
You giving me a rough time because I don't like the walkies.
But that's why I always wear this handy dandy patch on my shirt or my jacket this time of year. It says, for those of you in the back of the man, I'll be able to read it, it says Recharter Champion of the World, because I want all of us to be thinking about recharter this time of year, because this is super important. Because if we don't renew our membership fees with our units, we don't get to keep doing scouting. And if we want to keep having fun and we want to keep advancing and doing all the things we do in scouts, then we need to take a few minutes and renew. And that's what I've got. So with that, I think we're going to put a little bow on this. Oh, Mr. Warren.
Just something I off the brain. We were talking about safety earlier.
Yeah.
And, we all think about, cold weather at this time of year.
Mhm.
But everyone forgets that Bob is still trying to kill you. Now, we all know Bob as either the sun or Saul, but I call him the big orange ball, Bob. Okay? Now, in the wintertime, Bob will kill you one of two ways. He will either break through the clouds while you are driving on your trip to an outing, causing a sunbreak and blind you and cause you to get into a wreck. Or he will reflect off the snow or the rainy streets and blind you and make it to where, and we all heard about snow blindness. So Bob is constantly trying to kill you, whether it be wintertime or summertime. So just be prepared. That's all I.
Very good.
Very thorough.
Very good. I appreciate it. Bob. All right. So now I'm gonna put a bow.
Square knot.
Well, but a bow is
Those are
pretty.
prettier.
It is pretty. So we're gonna put a little bow on it. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. We really appreciate you guys taking a few moments out of your busy week and your busy evenings to come and hang out with us and learn a little bit. I hope you guys all had a good time. And I hope to see all of you next month. And for those of you that are watching this after the fact on YouTube, I hope you guys will take the opportunity to come and hang out with us either virtually, live, or hang out with us in person.
We have cookies.
Yeah, wait,
No, not this time, but we might, if we can get to Costco.
we'll get on the computer. I'll pull for shirts.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
And Sherry, if you didn't see it, you got a volunteer that'll make cookies next meeting, for next meeting. In the chat.